So do you know who Simone Yates is?
No.
Her name looks like it's spelled Gertz, but it's actually pronounced Yates. She's the lady she's an engineer, and she's done a lot of YouTube stuff, and she's the one who took the Tesla Model 3 and turned it into a truck. She called it the Truckla.
Okay.
Became very popular because of that engineering feat that she accomplished.
Not surprised you know about this.
Yeah, so I watched that series of videos. I mean, that's how I first became aware of her. But she's actually kind of broadened her horizons and expanded her footprint, her impact, whatever. And she's got a company now where she's developing products. And the idea with the products is that she wants to solve problems of everyday life.
Okay.
And so she has an engineering mind. And so she wants to create items, things that people would enjoy, right, for their life. One of the ideas she came up with, and I heard her talking about it, she was saying that I love jigsaw puzzles.
Okay.
I'm fascinated by them. I keep one of her inventions actually was a table that could be a dining room table, and you could just rotate it, and it would have the jigsaw still out on a puzzle all the time. So she said, I wanted to sell puzzles. Like part of what I wanted to do is sell puzzles, but not just any puzzle. She said, like, I want to give people a 500-piece puzzle and only give them 499 of the puzzle pieces, right? So a puzzle that's supposed to have 500 pieces, I'm only going to intentionally send you 499 pieces. And you're going to know that going in, right? So you're going to intentionally...
So wait a minute. So you are going to know that.
You're going to know that.
So it's not a surprise.
It's not a surprise.
Okay, well, I thought at first, that took me, I'll do something like that. Like that was like my mischievousness came out. Like, so but you're going to be told you're missing a piece.
Right. At some point, I think she might have thought, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
But her idea was, like, there's some kind of connection. So she said, I'm keeping all those pieces I don't send. Like, I'm going to send you a puzzle. It's got 499 pieces out of the 500.
Correct.
But I'm keeping that one.
Okay.
And so you're gonna go through the motions of working this whole puzzle, knowing you're not going to be able to complete it.
Knowing you're not.
Correct.
I got you. Tracking.
I want to ask you a question. Would you do that? Would you actually buy a puzzle that you know you can't complete and get to that place where there's like it actually look like? Would you do that?
But why, I can't believe you literally gonna look me in my face and pose that as a question to me. Is it I'm going to go and buy a puzzle?
Well, you don't strike me. I mean, I know you like mind twisting
and
puzzles.
I will do puzzles,
but I don't know about a jigsaw puzzle.
I mean, they're not my favorite. Okay. I would do one.
All right,
but like, no, I would never buy a puzzle that I knew I could not finish. Like I would not even have the capacity within the set to finish it. I would not do that.
Why?
I don't even understand.
Like in other words,
I don't even understand why it's a question.
The question for me is
like, what do you mean why? Because you get a puzzle to finish it. Like that's the whole idea of a puzzle.
Well, like I've been thinking about puzzles a lot because
that's so funny to me. Like you literally asked me why. Would you start building a table and not finish it?
That's different.
It's meant to be finished.
I have a lot of unfinished projects, but the reality is this. I've been thinking about puzzles a lot because my parents in their 80s, they love to sit and do puzzles. They have a table in their sunroom, and it's got a puzzle on it all the time.
Yes.
So like me and my sisters, we buy them puzzles. Yes. It's something they love to do.
Awesome.
And then they complete it, and then guess what? They just fold it back up and put it in the box. So is putting together a puzzle, is the goal completion, or is it the journey of searching and having minuscule victories where you've been trying to finish this one section, right? And you finally find it, right?
Oh, dude,
like, is that like what's the best? What are we actually after when we're putting the puzzle together?
I've never been more mad at you than I've literally never been more mad at you. Like you've been searching for the right topic to get my goat, and you found it. This is a good one.
Okay.
Because you have me. It's almost like you split Brandon in half, and there's two warring Brandons now.
Yes.
Because I understand 100% each side of what you're talking about.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because I remember there was this guy at my church, because you and I both have the same type of history, where we both inherited ministries where there were a lot of old people there.
Right.
And that was kind of like our first, like that's something similar. We got our first introduction into ministry by doing that type of ministry. And it's beautiful, right? Like a lot of these people are older. You know, you have to do funerals, which sometimes a lot of young guys don't have to because it's just the way it works out.
Right. If you're playing in a church, you're not
doing any funerals, and like you might do weddings, but you're not doing funerals,
Right.
and like just really dealing with people when they get sick, doing hospital calls. And so I remember this guy. He was a sweet guy, man, and he had some problems, and he used to want us to come over to his house, and what we would do is that he'd work on a puzzle.
Right.
And so we would go over, and he loved it.
Yeah.
And he'd be waiting for us, and like we'd all take turns. We'd go over there, sometimes together with some of the staff, sometimes just myself, and we work on a little section of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the first guy that actually handed me one of the hand puzzles. Like this same guy was
Okay.
like, "Hey,
All
can you
right.
figure this?" And he wanted to look at me figure it out because
Right.
he started to get to know that I would be interested in stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say the journey, it wasn't about finishing that puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And to him, he might not have been able to live to finish it, right? Like, you know, he's passed on, but it was about, I want to be on this journey with you. Let's discover something together. So there's one side of me that's like, yeah, 100%, it's all about the journey, right? There's another side of Brandon that's completely different. That's worrying like, no, it's all about finishing it. Like there's a lot of things that I want to finish and put away. Like I want to tuck that away. Like I want to check that box.
Right.
And so like the idea of I've always been like David wanted to build the temple, and God told him you would not.
Right.
That's always been rough for me. Moses wanted to lead his people into the promised land, and God said you're not.
Right.
Like it's been like like those are tough things to me because like you know like yeah the journey, the process, like these are both still men of God, had their faults, had their failures, but they still accomplished what God wanted them to in the course of their life. But like, dude, I have to be honest with you, like my skill set, like I want to say my character, I really wouldn't start something if I feel like I couldn't finish it. Like it's left to be done. Like yeah, we both have projects that aren't finished, but we could finish them. Like you have the tools to finish them. Maybe it's just not made it to the hierarchy. But like it'd be hard for me to say that I would purposely start to do something if somebody told me it's no way you're gonna finish it.
What's fascinating to me about a jigsaw puzzle in particular is when we go to my parents' house, my wife and I or whatever, and we're just hanging out, visiting them, we all gravitate towards that table where the puzzle is.
Yeah.
And for the brief moment that we're there, we're searching to see if we can't put a few pieces in.
Yes.
And contribute in some way.
Correct.
To the puzzle itself. And the last few times they've done, I participate, but I haven't actually seen it when they finished it. Maybe she posted a picture on like our group WhatsApp with our family or whatever. But I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
I do know.
So metaphorically,
I know.
Like it's beautiful to me to think about it, because if you think about it,
I get it.
I mean, we're all like, there's so much about life we're not going to have the answer for, and we're not going to have that last piece.
Dude, why are you doing like what? Seriously, like how?
So what's the point?
I understand that. Oh, Paul, I want to choke you.
But like it's if you think about it,
I know.
There's
like,
something really fun about and here's and so here's because I thought about that. I was like, who would buy this puzzle, Simone? And then I thought about it. I was like, the deep thinkers of life.
The deep thinker is this. It just is.
They're
going to
buy this puzzle because there's going to be something really cool for them about. I don't know which of the pieces is missing. I don't know which of the pieces I'm not good. Hopefully she sends me all the edge pieces because you always start with the edge, you know, and you work your way in. But I don't know which piece it is that she just is going to keep in her shop in a box. And she was like, I don't really know what I'm going to do with those pieces, but I'm going to do something with them at some point. You think about like I don't know how many puzzles she's sold or how many she's going to sell, you know, but I was thinking about who would buy that. And I'm thinking, actually, I probably would buy that. And then the more I got to thinking about it, and puzzles have been so central in my own personal family's life recently. And my wife even bought a puzzle because she was like, "Man, it'd be fun if I could just have a puzzle out to work on like during the day, or something." And I'm thinking, why are we drawn to this where we can see on the box what the full picture is, but before us, it's just a bunch of small pieces that don't look like anything alone, but together as we've work to fit them perfectly together, then at some point they're painting a picture that's what the target that we're after. But if you go into it knowing you're never going to finish it, like you're never going to get that one. Like I heard a pastor one time, and he was talking about the 99, how Jesus would go after the 99, right? The one and leave the 99 to go after the one. And he used the illustration of putting together a jigsaw puzzle and how he and his family were putting it together, and they got down and there was one piece missing, and they could never find it, so they could never finish it. And it was a great illustration for what he was saying about Jesus. Like she said, he was saying, we looked everywhere for this puzzle piece, for this, we turned everything up. We were pursuing that one, even though all the others were already there. And I got that. It was a beautiful illustration. But if you flip it on the other way, like how much of life are we going to have to say, I just don't know? Are we not going to have the pieces for? How much of our relationships are we just going to, we're never going to get the complete, it's never going to be complete. And then the other thing is fascinating to me, because I was thinking about this, as my brain just went crazy with it. But the last puzzle that my wife and I bought for my parents is by an author. He lives in North Carolina. He's famous for watercolor stuff. He does a beautiful job. And he paints, like the picture that we gave them was a dogwood blooms with some cardinals on it, right? So it's beautiful. But he's also famous for his like hummingbird paintings. And in each of his paintings, even though there might not be hummingbirds in the painting, he embeds the shape of the hummingbird inside of the other painting that he does. So in this one picture that we gave them, it had the cardinals and it had the dogwood blooms and it had the sky and everything else. But inside there somewhere, there's some shapes of hummingbirds hidden within this image. So like, it's not just the puzzle itself of the cardinals and the dogwood blooms. It's actually, you're trying to also find this other hidden beautiful thing that he's hidden inside. And I thought, man, that's even another level. Like in other words, as God pushes us through life, pulls us through life, guides us through life, it's like we're take this piece and like we figure something out and it locks in with this other piece, and we're like, okay, that makes sense to me now. And then we get another piece. Oh, that makes sense to me now. And then after a while, if we stand back, like this one corner of the puzzle that we might have together, and it's kind of morphed in, and now we're moving into some different colors, right? There's some different color schemes. Maybe it's the sky we're getting to, and a lot of it looks the same, and it's not as easy to find because all the pieces kind of look the same, and we're just basically going on shape at that point. It's not so much color, and we've got this one piece, but if we look in that, maybe there's even something deeper that we see. There's something else that's hidden in there that we didn't see at first, that God's trying to show us. And so I think metaphorically, I love the idea of buying a puzzle and being willing to go through the motions of just putting a puzzle together that you'll never, ever finish, simply to see what you might learn along the way in the journey of actually searching, and who you might get to join with you in working a puzzle that you're never going to finish. So I think it's beautiful. It's fascinating.
Yeah, philosophically, I feel like that's the war that we have within ourselves and within just the construct of our life, is that we want to accomplish things and we want to be done. But then we know that there are things that we're called to that's going to outlive us, outgrow us, outlast us, that maybe we won't be able to ever finish. And so I feel like philosophically, it makes a lot of sense because a puzzle by itself is bigger than its individual pieces. It's one piece at a time, but collectively it makes a picture. And I feel like that's a great analogy for life. I think that's why we're drawn to it sometimes, because innately we were created to fit together with other people and relationships, and they leave an impact on us that creates the picture and tapestry of our life. I think that it's really fascinating as I was listening to you, when you really think about just us as Christians, when we come to faith, Jesus gives us a new puzzle called Brandon to faith, but he keeps a piece back out and says, well, I'm gonna bring this back to you. Like when I come back for you, like you'll be complete.
Right.
And so we're in pursuit of building this life that we can have, but it's never really going to be complete here either.
Right.
We're never actually going to, from our faith perspective, be 100% in this life. We have to wait till we come back to the puzzle creator for him to give us that missing piece, and then we can see as well. So I think that that's the issue, is that a lot of times for myself, if it can't be completed, I don't want to do it. And I think sometimes spiritually and emotionally we evaluate those things, and maybe we don't want to push in as hard, because if I can't do it to 100, I feel doing it to 100% is different than doing the best we can. And I think we make that distinction all the time. That like, I may never get to perfection in my marriage, but I should pursue filling in as much of my marriage as I can. I might not be a perfect parent, but I want to fill in as much of that puzzle as I can. And so I do think it's a little bit both and. I think it's interesting because on the surface it's all about I just want to check these. Like I'm a done. Like I'm a guy that wants to be done. Like I like the sense of accomplishment. Completing something, like starting a task, getting it finished. But then on the other side, I'm also like we're planning on doing a sermon series called Dream Big in a few months, and we're talking about how God's dreams and things he has are so much bigger than we can even think that we won't be like the dreams that God has given us for Quest. We'd hope would outlast us.
Sure.
So in a way, it's going to be an unfinished puzzle. You know, so I think is that kind of what you're also saying as well? Like at first blush, it might sound crazy, but like it's obviously if you stop and think about it, we should all want to kind of partake in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think life itself is one big unfinished puzzle. Like,
Yes.
And so for us to say,
with pieces missing, that's what you said. Like the pieces missing, exactly.
And then there are other times like my parents will sit, for hours maybe during the week working on that puzzle together or individually as they have time. And the other day we were over there, my sisters were there. We just kind of got together on I think the week of Easter. We got together at one evening. And so I think it was during the week. And so my younger sister went over and like to the puzzle and found a few pieces and put them in it. And my mom called her like the puzzle whisperer. She said, because I've been working on that particular area for like 2 days trying to find those pieces. And you walk over and you find them immediately. And I was thinking about that, because there again, these puzzle ideas are coming at me from everywhere. I was thinking sometimes when we're putting our puzzle together, our puzzle of our life, like sometimes other people can come in and just see a solution to a problem we've been fighting for a long time.
Exactly.
And say, hey, have you ever thought of this? Or have you done that? And I think that's the beauty of living in a relationship with each other and community. And some of the frustrations where we keep beating our head against the wall trying to solve one continuing or recurring problem, sometimes somebody else can come in and say, hey, here's the solution. Here's what you've been looking for. I went through that same thing. Maybe I put that puzzle together and I know what those pieces are, whatever it is, and I think that's helpful. The other thing where puzzles have come at me recently is my wife, I don't know on what one of the streaming networks that we have, she found this series where it's a guy who, similar to this other guy, it's a guy who actually makes puzzles. He's the puzzle guy. And so he has a website, has a bunch of puzzles. And so what he does in this show, it's either on Netflix or it might be on Magnolia, whatever. But he basically, it's like a documentary style where he takes you to the place. Like he did one for Idaho. And so he went all over the state of Idaho, went to all these different places, immersed himself in the culture, tried all these different things. And he just recently did one, I think she was watching it maybe last night or the night before, about the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And so he went to Kitty Hawk, he went all lighthouses, he flew on airplanes, like he immersed himself in the whole experience. He went scuba diving, he did everything so that he could come back and paint this picture that would become a puzzle. And he's like, I won't paint a picture and do a puzzle of a place that I haven't visited, a place that I haven't experienced.
That's very,
so like he said, I want my puzzles to be meaningful for the people that are going to experience. Like I wanted to tell the story of the place, not just be a cool puzzle. And so I was thinking about that in terms of you alluded to the great puzzle maker, the one who has visited us, the one we talked about that Sunday, that God's still visiting his people, that he's immersing himself in our lives. And so he's the one that's crafting, our puzzle. And a lot of times he's also giving us the answers and the solutions because he intimately cares about us to the point to where he knows how to structure the life before us. And if we keep progressing and pursuing, even though, like you said, we're not going to complete it, like there's going to be a lot of things left undone. And I love the idea that I'm going to walk out of this ministry and leave something that's going to go beyond me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to see it to its whatever completion it is.
Right.
Hopefully it's still a ministry doing great things and being a church in motion when Jesus comes back. I don't know how long I'll have been dead by then. I mean, I may still be alive. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow. Not right now, evidently, but I'm just saying. So I don't know when that is, but there are so many of those kinds of things that are not going to be completed. Like my ministry will be completed. But what I think we're both trying to build will be totally incomplete. Because as long as there are lost folks walking around the face of the earth, the mission of the church will be incomplete.
And it might still even be unrecognizable.
Yes.
Like somebody might come and look and be like, man, I still don't even know. Like it still might not be completely, you know how sometimes you get to that point in the puzzle where you kind of can see where it is?
Yeah.
It might not even be that way. And I think that's kind of interesting when you're talking about as well, is that like God wants, like he leaves clues and he leaves things to keep you engaged. But I really do think that, as you said, it is about the journey. Like he wants you to kind of come back down, sit at the table and like process over it. Like I was talking to somebody, really talking to two of our members that go to Quest. They both are in tech. Mm-hmm. And we were having a conversation about AI and just about how AI is a great tool, like ChatGPT and all that stuff, the open source. Like it's really good stuff. And it's opening, it's for creatives, for people, and we were talking about how it can be a great tool for ministry, like that churches should definitely jump on the bandwagon, you know, and we shouldn't be like last to market, like let's go ahead and there's implementations for this stuff, all stuff. But what they were both saying, and the conversation, one of them were a few years older than me, one of them a few years younger than me. Mm-hmm. They both were talking about the danger of skipping the process. That I can go straight from, I have a question that I don't even need to figure out. I just want to get the answer, and I got the answer. Because I've been able to use this tool that can scour anything that's ever been written about this before. And they were both talking about that the learning happened in the journey, right? In the journey to getting the knowledge. And I think that's what we're saying as well, is that done and finished and complete is good. But like the journey, like you hear so many people talk about that, like the process and learning the process and learning to fall in love with the process. Like, you know, Tom Brady, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, like they fell in love with the process of being great. Like they like it wasn't just let me just get through this motion so I can get out here and go to the game. It was all of it. Like it was the grind of the wake up call. It was the going to bed early. It was the right meal. It was the stretching. It was the lifting. It was all of that you had to do behind the scenes that allowed them to perform at the high level. But it was behind the scenes, and a lot of times we just want to get away from behind the scenes and hoist a trophy. And so I feel like even though I battle back and forth with that, I do know that the journey is always the best, even when you don't know for sure if you're going to be able to finish it. Like, you know, like when you think about it, right? Like those explorers that set it out before to go chart the seas, you know, or to go sail, they had no idea if they ever would come back again.
Right.
Like they hoped they could go. Like they got money up front, go out here, bring the stuff back, and then when they came back, they can get money back for what they did. They hoped to come back and get that money, but it was no guarantees to it. But it was just you had to be willing to take the risk that the journey was going to be worth it regardless. And I think that we're just risk averse. That we just want to know it's a guarantee before we step out of the boat. And I think that what we've seen in our faith and in our culture is that you have to take that leap, even if you know that it might be incomplete.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise you can just cut out the top of the puzzle box and you're done. I mean, it's just the picture is complete. And there's a lot of other people who've already put that puzzle together.
Right.
And whoever painted it or took the picture or whatever, like they have the original. It's
Right.
not about the completed picture.
Right. That's true.
It's about the process of finding the pieces and locking the pieces together.
Yeah, and what is that doing? Like it teaches you patience.
It teaches you patience.
Observation. Yeah. Yes. Right.
But it gives you an intimacy with the painting you'll never have otherwise, because you're looking at that painting piece by piece, in an intricate detail level. Like you're looking at the color of this little kid's coat that's in this one corner of the painting,
right.
And you're trying to find the other piece because that coat is cut in half by where the puzzle pieces were cut.
Right.
And so if you can find that tab on the other piece that's got that color on it, and so you're intimate, like you're looking at all the pieces, trying to find that one little color and so like you're intimately involved in this painting to a level you never would have been otherwise if you had just bought the picture and framed it. It's totally different. And so I think that level of involvement, it's like I just built a table for one of my wife's best friends. It was a big farm table, like a dining room table for a dining room. I just delivered it last week. And I know that table more intimately than she and her family will ever know it. Even though they'll eat many meals on it, it's an heirloom, like it'll be in their family for generations. But I know it grain by grain, piece by piece.
Right.
You know, I finished it one time. I didn't like the way it turned out. I sanded the whole thing down.
Did you?
Spent 3 hours.
Wow.
Sanding it all the way down.
That's crazy.
Started from scratch to build the finish.
Because you didn't like it.
Because I didn't like it.
Yeah, right.
And
Exactly.
So,
you
like,
know. Mm-hmm.
I know every nuance of color. I know every knot. I know every termite crack. I know everything in this old. It's made it out of old barn wood.
Yeah.
And so I intimately know that. I turned all the legs. I'll know that table at a level that nobody else could ever know it, because I'm the one that manufactured it, built it, put it together, selected the wood, did all the work. Just like the person who paints the painting that makes the picture, like generally, like if I paint a painting that's going to hang in your living room, I'm going to know it more intimately than you. But if I give you a puzzle of that, I'm drawing you into a level of intimacy than you'll never get otherwise, because you're going to be micro-analyzing that picture. And there's going to be things you see in it. And when you get a little piece of it complete, you'll look at it with a new light at a depth that you never would otherwise. And so I think there's such value in the expression of putting a puzzle together, the work of putting a puzzle together. And what that means for us in life is, I think sometimes we're trying to hurry to the completed picture. But I think day by day, moment by moment, conversation by conversation, there's great intimacy and value there that we just don't want to miss because we're so busy trying to get to the completed picture.